Dandelion Princess here, and welcome back to Keyblade Chronicles. It has definitely been a while, but I am super excited for this video. With Missing Link in its second beta test, there is a lot of news and information surrounding the game being revealed, but I'm not going to talk about any of that right now. Mainly because I am trying not to spoil myself too much to the game before it actually releases and I actually get to play it. That, and because every YouTuber who covers Kingdom Hearts is already covering the news perfectly, so I didn't feel like there was anything I could really add to the conversation, but something that I have been very eager for since the very first reveal trailer for Missing Link has been revealed in its entirety, and that is Missing Link's version of Dearly Beloved, and my goodness does it slap. But that left me with the question of just where would I rank each version of this timeless song that gets composed differently for each Kingdom Hearts game. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. Of course, keep in mind that this is all based on my own opinion, and also that I am not a professional in the ways of music or composing, so I really am strictly going off just what sounds good to me personally. I'd also like to just throw out there that there is no actual bad version of Dearly Beloved. Each version is amazing in its own right. I simply wanted to listen to them all back to back and fully decide which ones were my favorites and which ones weren't. Also, keep in mind that I am only including the versions that played at the title screens of any of the games. I'm not including the orchestra versions or the piano collection or anything else like that. I also won't really be ranking the different duplicates of these versions. What I mean by that is all these games have been remastered in some sort of way, meaning that there is often multiple versions of their Dearly Beloved. For example, there is the Game Boy version of Chain of Memories, and then there is also the version from Rechain of Memories. Because they are literally so similar though, I'm not actually going to count them as different versions per se, so keep that in mind. Here are the different ranking tiers I created for this. My absolute top favorites. For the top tier, I have Godly Tunes, second tier, Banger Beats, third tier, Amazing Melodies, and bottom tier, Doesn't Stand Out. Alright, let's get into it. Starting off with the game that started it all, Kingdom Hearts 1, the classic OG version of Dearly Beloved. This version definitely stands strong. It's beautiful and stood out enough that a new version of the song would be made for each Kingdom Hearts title. It is the skeleton each version is built off of. Long story short, this version is a classic, but not necessarily my favorite. So it will go in the Banger Beats tier. Next we have the Chain of Memories version, and man, I do really like this one. It stands apart and honestly really sets up the perfect vibe for the Chain of Memories story in my opinion. It's a tiny bit more somber, with sort of a sense of mystery to it in a way. I honestly love it, so it is going in the Godly Tune tier. Next is the Kingdom Hearts 2 version, and where most fans get their nostalgia points from Kingdom Hearts 1, I get mine from Kingdom Hearts 2, and this is absolutely no different. This version of Dearly Beloved was the first version I ever heard, and my first taste of the Kingdom Hearts series. And yeah, for that alone, it basically goes into the Godly Tune tier. But compared to the others, I do just really like this one. It just has a very powerful presence. Next up is 358 Over 2 Days. Honestly, I feel like a pretty underrated version. It's definitely a lot more somber, which again very well reflects the game. It is a very nice version, and I was tempted to put it in Godly Tunes, but it's just not quite there for me. I definitely prefer a lot of the more upbeat versions, so it's gonna go in the Banger Beats tier. Next is Birth by Sleep's version, and not gonna lie, not one of my favorites. Again, I prefer a lot more of the upbeat versions, and this is definitely not that. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the Doesn't Stand Out tier. I'm sorry, it just really isn't one of my favorites. Dream Drop Distance version is a interesting one for me. I do really like it, but personally, I wish it did a little more to stand out. There's one section of it that I absolutely really love and vibe with. This piece right here. If the whole song had kept that energy, it would probably be in Godly Tunes, but it does kind of feel like it plays it safe a little bit to me. So it goes in the Amazing Melody tier. Next is the Recoded version, which was an interesting realization to me because I don't have much experience with that game in particular. I definitely don't have a familiarity with it like I do with most of the other titles, but its version of Dearly Beloved is actually one I happen to really enjoy. It's much lighter than versions like Birth by Sleep. It has almost a music box-esque feel to it, very similar to Rechain of Memories. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the Godly Tunes tier. Next up, we're starting to get more into the mobile games now, starting with Kingdom Hearts Key. Honestly, this has one of my favorite versions of Dearly Beloved. It is very fun and playful, just very upbeat, which, as I said, is something that is very appealing to me. It also sounds very unique from the other versions, so I definitely think it deserves to go in Godly Tunes. Now, the Union Cross version is honestly very similar, which makes sense since the stories are super connected, but I will say I kind of like Keys just a little bit more because I feel like it overall flows a little bit better. I don't know, it just seemed to take a little longer for that version to kind of get on its feet, so to speak. So it's gonna go in Banger Beats. Next we have Back Covers version. And yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of this one. Don't get me wrong, it does technically sound different from the other versions, but I think it's more so that the way they composed this version is very similar to the same style they've done with many other versions. There's nothing exactly new or exciting about it, but honestly, I don't really mind it, especially coming with back cover, because though back cover is definitely important and an interesting little movie, it's probably not as revisited as the actual playable games. So I definitely get the mentality that they didn't feel like they needed to push the boundaries with that one. So yeah, I'm gonna be putting this one in the Doesn't Stand Out tier. Next up is the Kingdom Hearts 3 version, and oh man, this one is definitely a beautiful version, and it really does give that feeling of going on a grand adventure. It also has a hopefulness to it. I don't know, there was just a lot going on with this version. I feel like because this version was the end of the Xehanort saga, they really did pull all the stops. But at some points during it, I will say it kind of feels like maybe there's a little too much going on. Almost as if I get the feeling like they were purposefully trying to make the best version of Dearly Beloved. I don't know, there's definitely some points where it feels a little too fancy and drawn out for what it needed to be. Again, I completely understand this because again, they're trying to make a really great version for the end of the Xehanort saga, as well as somehow make it stick out from all the other versions. It's just a massive undertaking that I absolutely don't envy. But all that being said, I'm going to put this version in the banger beats tier. Next up is the Melody of Memory version, and oh my goodness, I remember when this version released, I was so flabbergasted by how different it really was. This version has a really interesting jazz style take to it that is absolutely so much fun to me. Absolutely not like anything I would have expected. It's just very upbeat as well, and it absolutely just makes you kind of want to get up and move. It was a perfect version for Melody of Memory, considering that that game focuses so heavily on music. Definitely a celebration of the music from the series, so it definitely fits perfectly. And honestly, I do really hope we see this version return in some shape or form somehow, just because I feel like it just needs to be utilized in another title. I'm definitely putting this one in Godly Tunes. And now for the moment everyone has been waiting for. Where does this brand new Missing Link version land? Similar to the Melody of Memory version, I was pretty stunned to hear this version. It feels very much like it's gearing you up for something, trying to get you pumped. This version also has some vocals, which is very different and unique. It's super epic while still being fun. And even though Missing Link isn't out yet, and it's hard to speculate on what the story and characters are going to be like, I can say pretty confidently that I think this version is going to portray the story very well. It just seems like it has a very intentional aesthetic and vibe that this game is going for. So yeah, I'm putting the Missing Link version in Godly Tunes. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you have ranked any of these versions any differently? What is your favorite version of Dearly Beloved? And what are you hoping for with any versions going forward? Is there a specific style you would like them to try? And what do you think Kingdom Hearts 4's Dearly Beloved is going to sound like? Definitely let me know down in the comments. Go ahead and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Kingdom Hearts content. And I'll definitely be getting more Kingdom Hearts videos out in the near future. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and see you guys next time.